Hi, it's Liberty for All. I have a story from MSNBC interviewing Dr. Wen, and what she has to say is stunning. Check it out.
Dr. Wen, he's almost a living, breathing extension of President, I don't want the cruise ships to dock because then my numbers will go up. He's sort of picked up where that kind of leadership left off. But I wonder what your concerns are about the citizens of his state.
Well, Nicole, I'm really glad to join you again today. And it's upsetting to watch this because we have seen during the COVID-19 pandemic what happens when we don't have leadership. We've also seen what happens when public health officials are actively being undermined by political leaders, because we know that public health depends on public trust. And when you are pitting public health as somehow the enemy of the economy or enemy of school reopening, that actually harms everyone at the end of the day, and people are really confused about what to do. In this case, I also find it really hypocritical that those governors, those politicians who normally say that they are pro-business and pro-entrepreneurial are actually getting in the way of businesses that are trying to provide a safe environment for their customers and their employees and their families by, for example, having vaccine requirements or having mask mandates. And I truly don't understand what is the big deal about masks. I have a son who's almost 4. He can wear a mask without an issue. I want him to be back in school, and to do so safely. I know that masks are the way to do that. So I really think it's time for our public officials to be held to account. And that's what I talk about a lot in Lifelines, about how leadership really matters in times of public health crises.
We're going to get into more of what you write. It's so perfect for this moment that we're all trying to live through. When you talked of hypocrisy, I mean, the hypocrisy of any Republican who holds themselves out as pro-life, as at least in DeSantis's case, he's presiding over death and sickness at such levels that some school boards have already announced they're going to defy him. Let me put this up. The school systems in Broward County, Leon County, Duval County, and Alachua County have said they're going to retain or seek to impose mask mandates. In Arizona, some of them also plan to defy that state's law banning mask mandates. I wonder how much of this you now chalk up to our political dysfunction in terms of our cases. I'm also, while you talk, going to put up USA Today's front page today because it's powerful and it's upsetting, and it's a graphic of where all the cases are with the simple headline that we're failing.
Right. And in fact, we've seen this correlation now across the country that the places with the lowest vaccination rates are also the places seeing the massive surges right now. And I think the key is that we didn't have to be in this position. It's very different from where we were last summer or where we were last winter before before widespread vaccine access. We could have prevented this Delta surge from happening. And I think the most tragic part of it all is that we're failing our children. We failed our kids all along in this pandemic. We failed to open schools. We prioritized opening bars. We did not invest in the infrastructure that we needed in order to get schools to be reopened safely in the first place. And now we're failing kids all over again because it's actually the duty of us as adults to get vaccinated so that we can protect our most vulnerable. Who are we when we fail in that critical responsibility?
That the Biden administration is considering withholding funds and other measures to spur vaccinations. Post writes this: the Biden administration is considering using federal regulatory powers and the threat of withholding federal funds from institutions to push more Americans to get vaccinated. A huge potential shift in the fight against the virus and a far more muscular approach to getting shots into arms. According to 4 people familiar with the deliberations, the effort could apply to institutions as varied as long-term care facilities, cruise ships, and universities, potentially impacting millions of Americans.
And going back to the things of Biden, withholding funds, and look, take a lead from private industry, which is really starting to kind of put the hammer down. And basically, whether it's restaurants saying you can't come in unless you're vaccinated, companies saying you can't come back to work unless you're vaccinated, airlines saying you can't work at our airlines, healthcare workers. I mean, that's what's got to happen. You got to kind of hit people where it hurts, because it's scary, it's not healthy logic, it's not working. One final point for a vaccine mandate in this country, which I all the stats I've read in the recent period of time, this one blew me away. 28% of people who are unvaccinated favor a vaccine mandate. Think about that. A quarter of the people who are not getting vaccinated are in favor of a vaccine mandate. They just kind of need to be told to do it. So what else do you need to hear versus for taking a harder hand with the U.S. government getting involved here?
I want to get your reaction to that, Dr. Wen.
I'm not at all surprised. I think we keep on talking about the unvaccinated in this one big category. But we actually know that there is a group, of course, that who are really seriously anti-vax, who think that there's some kind of government control happening. They're the ones who are protesting. That's actually the minority. We have a huge middle group, if you will, who really just need to be pushed over the edge. And if they're told that there is a vaccine requirement for their work, they'll be able to get over that edge. Or even if there is a testing requirement for work and they're told that they have to get twice weekly testing or they can be vaccinated, they might see vaccination as the easy and convenient choice. That also helps to push them over the edge. I think at some point we as a society have to decide what are our values? And maybe we need to start looking at not getting vaccinated as drunk driving. As in, you have the option if you want to be in private and be intoxicated or be unvaccinated. But if you want to be out in public, engaging with others, you don't have a right to endanger other people's health. And so I think it's time for us to really say that vaccination is something, yes, it's something that protects you, but it's not just an individual choice because it's something that very much affects other people around you, including because we know about breakthrough infections, it also impacts the vaccinated, especially those who are vaccinated and have young children or immunocompromised family members. It very much impacts our health and well-being too.
Wow. I mean, that segment that was featured on MSNBC interviewing Dr. Wen is incredibly stunning. I mean, it's one thing knowing that there are fellow citizens and Americans, just civilians, that feel this way and voice their opinions. It's another when you have actual doctors, politicians, journalists, even who are trying to push this specific narrative. And it really is stunning stating that Dr. Wen and the other gentleman that was on there are advocating for pushing people over the edge who are not wanting to get vaccinations and basically stating that they do deserve to get fired if they don't want to vaccinate. Just basically pulling their arm. Hit people where it hurts, like he said. It really is stunning. And then, Dr. Wen had the audacity to equate unvaccinated people to drunk driving. She states, and I quote, "You don't have a right to endanger our lives." And I know a family member, and I myself have been involved in a very bad car accident, upwards of almost dying, a family member that I had. And I really resent the use of those words to basically scare people into submission, into getting vaccinated and pushing their agenda. And there's nothing wrong for those people that want to get vaccinated. That's totally fine. But to liken it to drunk driving, it's disgusting. It's two different things. It's not even the same at all. But this just shows you the types of depths and lengths that people like Dr. Wen, like MSNBC will go to for the sake of pushing their agenda and what they feel should be the case and what is right. I mean, it's unbelievable. They are calling for people to be fired, to not basically be able to live their lives if they decide for them that they, for whatever reason, want to think a little bit more about it. I'm not saying you should or shouldn't. All I'm saying is the last time I checked, this was America that we were living in. And, that's basically what our forefathers fought for, was for freedom. And basically are just trying to go in on DeSantis for basically stating his views and his stance on mandates. Absolutely stunning. Drunk driving and being unvaccinated are the same thing. Last I checked, unvaccinated people are not plowing into other vehicles or people, almost killing them. I'm sure the numbers for the drunk driving accidents are very high as well. And it's totally insensitive for her to even liken it to being anywhere remotely close. Um, the fact that she's done that, it shows me that she's never really been affected by a car accident like that. If anyone knows and has lost a family member in a car accident or has someone that was disabled afterwards, they know that it's one of the worst things ever, close to murder, because it's totally unexpected. If you lose someone in a car accident, it's totally, you know, it comes out of nowhere, and it definitely is something that can be prevented if people could stop driving drunk, but it is in no way, form, or fashion the same as people that are unvaccinated. I also resent the gentleman who basically stated, hit people where it hurts. You know, if they have people's best interest so much as far as recommending that they get the vaccination, why would you want to hurt their ability to make money or function in life? That just shows you that he doesn't have the interest in the people at all. He doesn't care. They're all about pushing their agenda as to what they believe is best. Dr. Wynn also wants to pretend to take her civic duty and state that it's your duty to get vaccinated, not just for yourself, but for everyone else. And despite whether you know a lot about the vaccine or how it's going to affect your body, it's your duty to get it, even though you don't know a lot about it, to protect your fellow neighbor, again, liking it to drunk driving. She also states that in an effort to pull the arm behind the 28% that are still on the fence about getting vaccinated, that if they see it as the quote unquote easier choice as to not having to get tested every week, that may also strong arm them and convince them that yes, this is the best choice for you, because again, I think it is. And the mainstream media and the average quote unquote American thinks this. So what's wrong with you for questioning and just kind of thinking about whether or not you want to get it or not? Again, totally your choice. But I'm not okay with the whole strong arming effect. So that's what's going on, folks. You're going to see a lot more of this. You heard it for yourself. If you are not willing to conform and just get it without any questions asked, you're going to be threatened to be fired. You're going to be threatened with any restrictions that they can to make sure that everyone that they can get it. And that's a lot of what's going on right now. I'm going to leave you with this. I was watching Once Upon a Time a couple of weeks ago, and I love a lot of the TV shows and episodes and movies that are out. So I might incorporate sometimes some similarities of what I'm seeing in fiction as to what's actually going on in real life. But this is a spoiler alert if you have not seen Once Upon a Time season 3, and you're not really sure of what I'm referring to. You might want to click off the video now. I'm not going to expose a lot of the plot, but I am going to give a scenario and a comparison as to exactly what this video looks like to me. And as silly as some people might think that this is, the character in Once Upon a Time, Zelena, she is the Wicked Witch. It tells her story, and there's a part where she turns a character, I'm not going to say who, but a character into a monkey. And before she does it, she says to him, and I quote, "What I need is someone who will do what I ask without question, like a trained circus animal." The person then says to her, "You're evil." And she says, "Not evil, darling, wicked." And that's exactly what I feel that this country is doing in trying to force and mandate at will what they perceive as the best thing for quote unquote Americans, picking and choosing what their civic duty should be. It's no different. I know it sounds silly, but it's no different in strong arming people and saying whatever it takes to get them to do it, it's for their own good. A circus animal that will do whatever it's told. That's as simple as it is, guys.